perfect time.
Let's come together now in the presence of the one mind. We know we are all here together, gathered for people of like mind and people who know that the power and the presence of God is with us right now. Oh, I give thanks for that. We have such a beautiful day here this morning, and we're all gathered because we are going to learn something. We don't know what it is yet, but we know it's there. So we give thanks for everything we have. We are very happy to be here this morning. And knowing this and feeling this within our hearts, we know and we feel it. And so it is. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. I have a reading for you this morning. You know, I discovered this thing. How, because it's starting to get warmer and warmer, how do you know that hot is faster than cold?
You can catch a cold.
You can catch a cold. Who said that? Oh, this is my son, Mark, and it's Father's Day. Thank you very much. He will be a comedian someday, probably in about 30 years. Thank you very much, Mark. You know, I have a reading this morning. I'm reading this from the collected essays of Robert Bitzer. You may not know who Robert Bitzer is. He was 98 years old and he passed away in 1994. So some of you weren't even born yet. I can see most of you were just by looking at you. But anyway, the reason that I have this book is because this is from Reverend Pat Perkins. It's one of her books that she had, and she has things that are underlined and things that she used in various sermons. I'm very intrigued by the things that she had highlighted. But Robert Bitzer, who died age 98 in 1994, he founded the Hollywood Church of Religious Science. I used to go and hear him. He was a much older man then when I went, but he was a minister there for 64 years, and he founded the church in 1930. Very, very interesting man, a contemporary of Ernest Holmes, of course, and he was with RSI, which was Religious Science International. And the thing that I did not know about him was that he was a fighter pilot in France in World War I. This guy had a long and interesting life. Anyway, here's what I have. Here's what I have from him from today, and this is where is it? Here it is. Okay, these are things that Reverend Pat Perkins had underlined. It's a small reading, but I think it's very important because it really gets to the heart of who we are. You are surrounded by a principle of wealth which is imploring you to accept it and use it. You need a personal commitment. Emerson said that if he took unto himself all the beauty which surrounded him, he would surely give it out again. He identified with the beauty of the mountains and became part of what he was beholding. That is what is meant by consciousness. You are surrounded by prosperity and great good. Consciousness reaches out, recognizes what it beholds, accepts it, and makes it part of your being. This is Ernest Holmes. I'm Brad Weather, and I thank you very much.
Oh, good morning. This piece that I'm going to play, that I composed, I wrote a while back, and it was specifically for meditation. Thich Nhat Hanh is one of my favorite guys, and he said that meditation is not an evasion. It is a tranquil connection with reality, which I think is real, because a lot of us have been taught by a different phase that we should transcend our bodies and and that to be quiet and do these things is just evading reality. But really, our body is a conduit to reality. It is a solid conduit to that. This piece is written with chords that correspond to the body, literally. It's written in the key of C, which is the bottom chakra that corresponds to that chakra. And this piece will take you to that place, and it'll move you through other places and take you right back at the end, which is where we all need to be to connect with this source. So I would invite you to just sit in your seat, feel your body, how solid it is in your seat, and notice your breath. And if you're comfortable, just close your eyes and let this music take you where you need to go. And at the end, it will bring you right back home where you belong. And so as you sit with that final note, bring yourself back into your body more fully by noticing the way you feel, the way the weight of your body is in your chair. Notice your heart. What are you feeling? Notice your breathing and connect to that. And when you feel ready, open your eyes and be ready for Reverend Mary's talk about the mind-body connection.
Wow, how beautiful. Wasn't that? Just amazing. Just beautiful. I didn't dare close my eyes because I got home from the airport about 1 a.m. this morning. You know? And you would not be getting a talk today. You know? So I'm going to light the candle today for equality and healing. And happy Father's Day. There's a lot of things going on today. It's Father's Day, and when we speak of Father's Day and equality, equality gives freedom to all sides of the spectrum, not just the one side that feels that they've been oppressed. It gives everybody freedom. And it's also today Juneteenth. So what is Juneteenth? Juneteenth, June 19th, is the, last year, actually, President Biden made it a national holiday, a federal holiday. He signed the National Independence Act, making it the next federal holiday since Martin Luther King, a couple decades ago. And what it commemorates the time when the federal government had to go into Texas in 1868 and tell Texas that the Emancipation Proclamation applied to them too. Typical Texas, right? So, so when President Biden signed this into making it a national holiday last year, he reminded us that the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation in 1865 didn't mark the end of us developing equality, but the beginning. So we are still working on this today, and we see it all around us. So mind-body connection, that's our global theme, CSL's global theme for today and this month, actually. And what is mind-body connection really about? It's about wholeness. It's about getting our mind and our heart and our body in sync with each other in the wholeness. And Dr. Martin Rossman says that healing is about integrity. It's about bringing together the things that have been split off or wounded or damaged. So healing is a bringing together, a movement towards wholeness. Now, in Science of Mind, we talk a lot about the mind and the power of the mind. Change your thinking, change your life, and mentally we can do all kinds of things with our mind. And this is true, and I used to, years ago, I had a weekly massage. And my therapist, one day I went in there, the massage therapist says, "Oh my gosh, I'm getting nauseous, I'm getting sick." She said, "I put out a bowl of mints, and they smell like toilet bowl cleaner. And it's making me nauseous and ill." And you could see in her face, she's ready to throw up, right? And I looked at her and I said, "Clara, your mints don't smell like toilet bowl cleaner. Your toilet bowl cleaner is made to smell like mint." Instantly, and we know that, right? So instantly, she looked at me and she was no longer sick. Instantly. So that's how powerful our minds are. Our minds can make our bodies sick. And conversely, let's even think about, when we perceive a danger. Let's talk about cars coming at you. And everybody's heard of that fight, flight, or freeze, right, syndrome? So the car's coming at you. Do you stand there and say, "I'm in a crosswalk, you gotta stop"? Or do we run and get out of the way? Or do we stand there and freeze and look at it? They call that the deer in the headlights, right? Because deer and other animals tend to freeze when they're doing that. So these are examples of how the mind has power over the body. But the body also has a lot of power over your mind, right? When you are feeling sick, you are either grouchy and irritable, or you're quiet, depressed maybe, particularly if it's chronic pain, and reclusive. You can go, so the grouchy and irritable is more of the fight, and the depressed and the reclusive is more of the flight. And some of us just freeze and go, I don't know what to do, and we're looking for someone to figure it out for us. So the body has a lot of that control over our mind. And the body also, when we have pains or illnesses, it's a good thing, because if our body didn't sense certain things, we wouldn't know anything was wrong with us. We wouldn't know that we needed to take care of something that was off. But something that we don't pay a lot of attention to that gives us signals, because as we know, it's not just a brain that's smart. And science has discovered that all of our organs have an intelligence and send information to the rest of our body. Now, one thing that we don't pay attention to much is our hearts, right? The emotions. Because we're kind of been raised in a society that says, that's over. Get over it, right? Just get over it. It's in the past. And so we tend to take our emotions and shove them deep and just go, yep, it's done. It's over. The problem is, it's not, as far as our emotions and our heart is concerned. So things happen, like we start developing illnesses, and where did that come from? I don't know why this is going on. And where did that come from? So we get into this, stuff it down deep. And our bodies generally react the quickest. So I want to do a little experiment now. Everybody stand up and slouch over. And if you need to lean against the pew, hold on, just slouch over, lean against the pew. Let your knees sort of bend a little bit and your hands sort of hang and your head is sort of down. How are you feeling? What are your thoughts? Okay, now straighten up. Throw your shoulders back. Put a smile on your face. Let's smile. Okay, how are you feeling now? Much better, right. Go ahead and sit down. So see what just the body does to your mind? And it was even sort of a fake little exercise, and it still could do that. Even when we knew what we were doing, it still can do that. So the body communicates, and when our emotions are not cleaned up, when we've stuffed that thing, we tend to kind of walk around like this. You've seen it, people kind of walk in and, somebody goes, you look tired. Yeah, because your emotions are just, instead of, okay, I got this. And so when our emotions are stuffed, they can cause chronic pain. In my ministerial class studies, I took a couple classes on the mind-body connection and imagery. And actually from two classes from two different people who were partners and doctors at the USC pain clinic. And this particular pain clinic, they don't give you pills, they don't give you treatment like that. The people that get sent there are people that have been to all of the doctors, and they can't figure out why this person's in pain. all of them. And some of them it's for years. And they finally go there, and the doctors have said that 80% of the people that come there had emotional trauma within 18 months of the pain starting. 80%. So their treatment was more to go inside and let's look at what needs the healing. Because as we were saying, the body sends you messages. And we tended to not get it. You know, a while back I talked about the feather, the sick, and the 2x4, and the body's, first a little bit of, pain, and then a little bit more, and then pretty soon you just ache all over. And you're still not getting it, that something needs to be taken care of, something needs to be healed. So what they do at the pain clinic is they use imagery. We go into a deep meditation, and then focus on a part of your body that is hurting. And then using imagery, allow that part or that pain that's in that part of your body to take on some kind of image. And have a conversation with that part. What's going on? What do I need to know? And sometimes, it's a regular conversation. You have a conversation with somebody, what do I need to know? They may tell you something you don't really want to know, right? And that can happen. And they may tell you, well, I want you to know this, and I want you to do this, this, and this. And you go, well, I don't know if I can do that. But you have a conversation and make some agreements. And very often it takes more than once to come to an understanding or agreement. Or let's work on this part, and I'll come back and do it again later. So we won't try that this morning because it can take a while. Now, last Wednesday, we had a little video that was an interview with Joe Dispenza. And I don't know how many of you have heard of Joe Dispenza, but he's an internationally known speaker and trainer. And what his story is, when he was a few decades younger than now, he was in a triathlon and he was riding his bike. And he was the crossing guard or the traffic controller for this triathlon said, come on, you can make this corner. But apparently there was traffic behind the guy that was waving him on and he didn't see it. Anyhow, Joe got run into by a four-wheel drive. Crushed 6 or 7 of his vertebrae. Doctors told him, if you don't get surgery, you will never walk again. Can't even promise, with the surgery, how long it's going to take. Joe decided not to get the surgery. And the reason being, he said, I know that God is all-powerful. I know that for a fact. And I know that God is within me, which means that power is in me. So he went home, and he couldn't really do anything except lay on his stomach doing nothing because he couldn't move. And he decided that he was going to use this kind of imagery and see every one of his vertebrae completely healed. Now, it took him about 6 weeks to get through that imagery because it would take him 3 hours. So being the researcher that he was, he researched, what it's supposed to look like when it's healthy. And so he could get that in his mind. And it took him about 6 weeks before he could get through a 3-hour meditation on this without being distracted. But as soon as he did, he started feeling it immediately. And within 9 weeks, he was walking. And within 12 weeks, he was back to work and doing everything that he did before the accident. That's the power of imagery and the healing. You kind of remind me of Jesus, pick up your bed and walk, if you believe it strong enough. Now, most of us, it's going to take us 6 weeks or more to start changing that imagery, and it takes a while, so we won't exercise that today. So I invite you to try that at home if you have certain pains or certain conditions like that. And you don't need to just do it with the physical body pain, but you can do it with anything. I tried it with my shoulders. My shoulders were giving me a lot of pain, and so I did the imagery, and I got 2 medieval knights standing there with spears. Okay, yeah, those spears are sharp. I get it. I get it. What do we need to do here? And they just said, you got to knock off some of this physical stress that you're doing, climbing up this place and down and doing this and doing that, It's time to learn how to delegate. It's time to learn to say no. It's time to learn to say, okay, that's good enough. And it's taking some time for me to honor that, because it's a whole change. When we decide to make those changes, because, we talk about change your thinking, change your life. Okay, how many of us have just, okay, change my thinking. Today I'm going to think X, and we're done. Doesn't work that fast, does it? It doesn't. So it's something that needs to be changed. Now, when we want to change that physical pain, or we want to change something that's going on like that, we can change our thinking, which we've talked about, but we can also change our behavior. And that behavior, as we've just learned, is a body thing, and the body can change the mind. So you can start either direction. Or, better yet, we can change our attitude. Because what is attitude but beliefs and emotions put together? But one of those things will have to change, or nothing changes. Because, as we know, Einstein said, that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. So if we don't change something, nothing's going to change. And sometimes it takes a while to make that change. And for Joe, it took him 6 weeks to totally shift, and then he started to heal. So we can start making that change. Now, in the meantime, there are things we can start doing to start releasing some of that tension in our body, because sometimes we get so entrenched in our thoughts, or tight in our body, or we've changed our thinking, but our bodies haven't caught up, and it takes a while for our bodies to catch up, because they hold all of that emotion that we just ignored for the last 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe even 60, 70 years, right? It takes a while to get that out of ourselves. So there's things that we do, and we've learned, if it's a mental stress, we do our meditation. We can do some deep breathing to relax, and we did that on a Wednesday night a couple of weeks ago, and there's some classes that are coming up if you would like to learn more about various deep breathing exercises that really work to reduce stress. And then on a physical level, we do things like yoga, or Tai Chi. Or one of the things that I learned about is progressive muscle relaxation, which seems sort of silly, but it works. So let's try it just for a second right now. Sitting there in your seat, try to tighten your facial muscles and maybe even the muscles in your head. Just tighten them as hard as you can. Close your eyes, crease your eyes, tighten your face. Now release. Now tighten your neck as much as you can. And release. Now tighten your chest as much as you can. And release. And your back, tighten your back muscles. Let those backbone muscles come together and release. Go ahead and tighten your buttocks as much as you can while you're sitting on it. You can feel it. Tight, 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 and release. And now let's tighten our legs, your thighs, your calves. Let's just do the whole legs, much as you can, tight as you can. And release. And now let's do our toes. Curl your toes, tight as you can, and release. How are you feeling? A lot more relaxed. And again, we knew what we were doing. We didn't even have to know what we're stressed about, but it just relaxes. So we use things like our meditation or physical things like yoga or the muscle relaxation to release the stress out of our bodies. And some of these things, the breathing and the physical relaxation, allows us to release enough stress. So if we want to do the visioning and go into the visioning and release, we're ready to do it. The police departments are using breathing and that sort of stuff. Lately, I know the Pomona Police Department uses it and other ones are doing it. And the amount of confrontations that they have had have really gone down. It puts them in a better whole, as we were talking, that wholeness, that centeredness. If you can walk out and do your job being centered and relaxed, you're much less likely to respond too quickly or a little inappropriately too much, to overreact. So when we're learning some of these things, we're putting our mind and our body in sync with each other. We're getting that wholeness, to just get our minds calm and meditate. That takes care of that part. But we need to take care of the body too and do the physical things to release. And then we also need to go into the heart and find out what we're feeling, rather than ignoring it like we're used to doing, saying, get over it, it's done, it's over. Allow ourselves to feel that, okay? The imagery helps that. And what I do sometimes is, if you have a situation where you feel that you overreacted, why did I say that? I don't know. Allow yourself to sit quietly. Take that part of you, image that happened, that situation, and take that part of yourself, see it as a little child, because it is. It's that emotional little child within yourself. Allow it to be the child. Put it on your lap and allow it to scream and cry and everything, and let it out. And then offer it terms of love, because we tend to scold ourselves for those moments when we don't react the way we would have preferred that we reacted, right? We scold ourselves. So what does that do? If you scold yourself, if you scold a little child, do you think they're feeling better about it? They're more angry. They're more shut off. So if you scold your emotions for overreacting, it's just going to go, I'm just not appreciated around here. I will get my attention any way I can. And if they can't get it through outward behavior, they're going to get it by creating pain. Yeah. So if you have done something that you're not really happy about, rather than scolding yourself, nurture that. See it as that little toddler within yourself. Put it on your lap. Let it scream, let it cry, and love it. Because that's the only way to heal and get back to center. We kid ourselves when we think we can just stuff it and move on. So, in summary, we have a mind that can control things. We have a body that can control our lives. And if we don't listen to it, the pain gets worse and worse. And we have emotions that can control our lives and make it worse and worse and worse. And that's where chronic pain comes from a lot, is those stuffed down emotions that got scolded or just totally disregarded. Totally disregarded. And as you know, a little child, whether it's a real little child or your inner little child, if you ignore it, what's it going to do? It's going to get louder and louder and louder, and not in a nice way, right? Not in a nice way. So we really don't have any choice. We have got to learn to nurture ourselves. And I say that because a teacher teaches what she needs to learn, right? So we all need to do that, including myself. Those little, medieval knights with the spears, if I don't pay attention, I'm in pain. And I've learned that correlation. So we've learned how to use imagery, and I really invite you to try it, and try it more than once, because it takes a while, and it's really interesting to go home and try that. And then we've learned that we can release energy and some of that pain through yoga, through physical things, through the muscle relaxation. There's things called tapping. You've heard of that, where you tap different parts of your body and say affirmations at the same time. And it seems really silly, when you're doing it. But does it work, Emily? It works. Okay. Some of these things it feels kind of silly, so maybe you'll do it alone, but it works. So we've learned various techniques. And the purpose of this talk is to recognize that in order to achieve wholeness, it is not a mental thing. We talk about it all the time, but it is not just a mental thing. Body, mind, heart. We cannot grow in spirit. We cannot have spiritual maturity unless our humanness is whole. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, and it's not an accident. It's on purpose. And we only get to do this while we're here, so you might as well use this time to learn this lesson about how to get whole in order to achieve that before we go on to the next plane of whatever it looks like. And so I want to conclude this morning with taking this individual healing, realizing that that's where we have to start in this world, but also understanding while we are a whole system in ourselves, our nation, our planet, is also a whole system. And if there's a part of our nation that's hurting, of this whole system, if our arm is hurting, how does it make the rest of the body feel? Miserable, right? Our whole attention goes there. So if there's a part that is hurting, we need to recognize that part, go into that centered place, and ask it to speak its word. What are you hurting about? What do you need to tell me? What do I need to do for you? And make our own personal commitments of what we're willing to do. And that's what brings us back to this idea of the Juneteenth, is because there is parts of our society that hurt. And our society cannot be whole, it cannot be healthy, it cannot breathe, and the rest of it cannot be healthy until all parts are healthy. And so I would like to take that thought and our healing into prayer, knowing that we need to heal as individuals and heal as a society, because we rise together and we fall together. So let's take this into prayer. I know in spirit that there is only wholeness. There is only a synchronicity between all parts. I know that it is all God. I know that my mind, my emotions, my body, it's all God. Every part of it. And it's all on purpose. That this is a wild experiment, a wild ride for me to get the most out of. And for me to learn and to wonder and feel the joy, mentally and physically. I know that as I am whole, that I am one with Spirit. I know that is true for every person on this planet and in my country. I know this truth. I know that. And I am willing to pay attention to my mind, my heart, my body. And I am willing to step out into the world around me, paying attention to all parts of the life around me, to all communities, to all parts of our nations, to all parts of my family, and to look with curiosity, empathy, and compassion. I am willing to shift whatever I need to shift to move into wholeness. And I know that as I do, the universe responds, life responds. It can only be whole because that is the true nature of Spirit. In that wondrous glory of all the moving parts of this planet, the trees, the flowers, the people, everything, all of these moving parts are all one, moving together as a single atom. And I am part of it. And I am so grateful to be a part of this. And so in wonder that I step in with excitement, a wonder and a gratitude, and an expectation of wholeness. And so it is. Thank you.
That was a perfect talk for me. Like many people, I'm no stranger to the connection between the heart and the body. I had a lot of trauma as a child and as an adult, and I know a lot of you have probably experienced your fair share too. And the impact on my body was visceral. I could feel I had chronic lower back pain for a very long time, until I went through a period where I began to experience bliss during meditation and just quiet moments in nature. And after a year of that, my back pain was gone and never came back. Well, one moment that really has always impacted me and still does to this day is in the simple pleasure of listening to a robin sing. There's something about the song that gets me to let go of the tension around my heart and allow the moment in. So I wrote a poem about it and a piano piece about how that experience opened me to God's love, or all that is, the love of that, and helped me to let go and to heal. It's called But You Came as a Robin. Steely is my resolve to not be taken again, but please take me. I will not falter in my resolve to remain in constraint. But this morning you were a robin. You sang so sweetly it broke my heart open again. Each note a petal opening the lotus blossom of my weeping heart.
That always amazes me, Jack. It always amazes me. So let's see. We have an affirmation for today, which should be right inside your bulletin in the box there. And we'll do it, let's see. Well, I think the people online can follow us. I will read it once out loud, and then we'll do it together. My mind, body, and heart support my perfect health and my spiritual growth. Together. My mind, body, and heart support my perfect health and my spiritual growth. Okay, so let's see. Coming up, this Wednesday night is our gateway, and we have the pre-gateway meditation over here in the practitioner room with Nisa Burrows, and that's at 6:15. And then in the chapel, in their chapel at 7 p.m. in person now. We're doing it all in person. It's our interfaith night, and Rabbi Zev will be with us this time. And it may be one of the very last times that we see him. Before COVID, we saw him a couple times, but he's moving in the fall to the Midwest. So this will be one of the last times. I don't know what his talk title is going to be, but he's always full of some great humor and some funny stories. So come join us Wednesday night with Rabbi Zev. Let's see, and there's always some discussion that goes on. We still have our food donation box to donate canned foods, non-perishables for people in the community. And there is a box in the foyer, and we just keep taking it and bringing it to them. So it's an ongoing thing, but if you're like me, you might have to kind of set them out sometime in the weekend in the middle of, so you'll trip over them when you go out the door Sunday morning, and that way bring them here. Okay, and the flowers today were given to us by Shelley Kepler. Thank you, Shelley. They're beautiful. Sure. Shelley has an announcement. I'd like to come to the front. Yeah. And we like you too.
Am I okay now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Oh, I'm just kidding. All right, who loves a good picnic?
Woo-hoo!
In the shade or in Holmes Hall. So we're working on a 4th of July picnic, which will be July 3rd. It is going to be a potluck picnic for 4th of July celebration. Your hospitality team hosted or led by Miss Jerry. Jerry, stand up. Jerry Thompson, stand up. Woo! She is guiding our efforts into having a potluck picnic. So what that means, everybody knows what a potluck is, right? Do you remember? You remember pre-COVID potlucks? Let's do it again, shall we? Yay.
Alrighty.
So be sure you bring whatever your picnic dish is for the potluck on July 3rd. We will have the potluck after service in Holmes Hall. Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Yeah, I didn't see it on here though, yeah. Okay, so it's time for our tithing and the baskets. We're not passing the baskets, they're in the back, but we will do our affirmation together. And remember, it comes from your heart. Whatever you give flows with the energy that you place with it, whether it's a smile or a tithing. So remember that as we do our affirmation. Let's say it together. Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. Okay, and if no one has anything else, I think it's time for us to line the aisles and kind of dance our way out to some music.
Take a look at the person next to you and say, God loves you and I love you too. Now feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, we come together, we come together, we come